Hey guys, this video should help with keeping the bills down this year and hopefully getting that money in your pocket. Most of these tips will be to do with insulating your home and just keeping you warm in general. Some of these things you may have to buy, but I've tried to give like an alternative with stuff that you have around the home. First thing, I think that the place where you save the most money is through your electricity company. Okay, wait, hear me out. You don't have to change your electricity company. Your company wants your money. All you have to do is find a competitor, find out what their deals are if they take you on, and then call your electricity company. Tell them, like whatever that company is called, is offering you this deal. What can they do? Normally, that company will do whatever they can to keep you as the customer. They'll do that deal or they'll do better. Also, even if you are with your electricity company, just check to see if you're on the best plan. I have a plan which is cheaper at night because I have a storage heater. It charges overnight. Now we're going to go on to more of keeping the heat in your home. Drafts under your door. So we grew up in Ireland with these like door snakes. I think they're called door snakes or whatever. And basically they just keep the little gap that you have under your door. It just like put something there to stop it. It keeps the heat in and keeps the cold out. All this basically is just like a cylinder object that you put at the bottom of your door. You could make this yourself. If you have a pair of tights, get your tights and just fill them with old clothes, tie the end of it and just throw it at the door. Easy, done. I have a door sweep on my door because my floors are very uneven, so sometimes it gets caught, but not with the door sweep. So let's move on to the windows. There is this thing called insulating window film. It looks amazing. I haven't tried it yet. I do want to buy it. Or if you don't want to be spending that money and you have some bubble wrap around the house, you can just put that on your window. You just spray your window with a bit of water and you just put that onto the window and it will attach. And this kind of gives you like a double glaze effect. It's not the prettiest, but it does the job. It keeps the heat in and the cold out. Also with your windows, sometimes it's very hard to figure out like where the draft is coming from. So if you get like a little tea light or just like a candle and you bring it over to the window, the flame will flicker and that will tell you that there's wind or like air coming in. So basically wherever the candlelight flickers, that shows you that's where you need to either fill in a hole. When you come to this issue, I have chose two different ways of fixing this. So around my window itself, I've just filled in all the sides with caulking. I use bathroom caulking as it's beside the window, and I thought having something that's okay with moisture would be best there. Then I have also got insulation tape and I put it all around the window itself where it opens. That helps if there's any little gaps in between the window itself and the window frame. Also, the obvious one is curtains. Curtains will keep a lot of heat in the house and the cold outside of the house. I'm not going to stay too long on that point. Move on. Another one is you need to make sure that the curtains are open during the day because the sunlight does bring in some heat. Also have to make sure that your windows are open for like a little bit during the day, as you don't want any mold to grow, and you also want the dampness out of your room. You need to make sure that your room is as dry as possible because it's much easier to heat a dry room than to heat damp room. If you can't afford it, a dehumidifier will be really good, but they are expensive on electricity and we're trying to save money. Next, we will go on to the actual bed itself. In the wintertime, I usually have like a blanket like this and I put it as like the bottom sheet on my bed, and that kind of keeps the heat from leaving my body, like underneath. And it's also, you're not getting into something that's like ice cold and it makes you shiver. I always put one of these on the bottom and it keeps me nice and warm. In Ireland, we actually use hot water bottles a lot. We love hot water bottles. They can be very dangerous as it's boiling water in a bottle. It can burst. So you need to be very careful with it. I have one right here. It's my little Dalmatian. It's actually a smaller one than usual. Sometimes when it's really cold, I can put it in my little pocket here, and it keeps me nice and warm. And if you ever get cramps, it's the best. But if you don't have a hot water bottle, or you don't want to buy one because obviously it's not always safe, and if you've kids you may not want to have them to have hot water bottles, if you get like a sock or something that's like you can put in the microwave and fill it with uncooked rice and just put it on for 30 seconds until it's hot enough, it actually keeps the heat really well as well, and it warms you up. Great. So the next one is the floor. I use rugs as much as possible to keep my feet nice and warm. I hate cold feet, the worst. If you live in a basement or somewhere where there's cold air coming up, then I would definitely recommend rugs just to keep like the cold air down. I also buy skiing socks because, as I said before, I hate cold feet. I can wear them around the house. I always have slippers on in the house as well. Oh, if you have a ceiling fan in your home, you need to make sure that it's going in the correct way. You want your hot air to travel downwards rather than upwards. So you need to make sure that it's going clockwise. Here are some last kind of like little tips. So cooking, obviously if you're cooking it makes your home a lot warmer, but it can also bring water into the air. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. I love to have blankets everywhere. The more blanket, the cozier I am. That also helps with not putting the heating on as much. I know a lot of people recommend candles, but personally for me, for heating purposes, they're just not something I would go for. Obviously, unless I was very stuck. I feel like the amount that you would spend on a candle versus the amount that you would have to pay for electricity, it just doesn't add up. I would just prefer to turn the heat on for a few minutes or put loads of blankets on, then rely on the heat from a candle. But each to their own. Do whatever you can. I also know in Ireland there's like electricity companies and they let you do like a pay as you go. You top up a card and then your electricity goes on and whatever. If you can get away from them, I would recommend it. At the very least, just like check to see what you're paying for that, because they can be very, very expensive. Obviously, if this is what keeps you on budget, do what you can, like do what you have to do. We're each just trying our best. It's been crazy and yeah, we're just trying. Oh, one last thing. When it comes to heaters, I always put insulation behind the heater, silver insulation behind the heater, and it reflects the heat back into the room, which can be really good for like outdoor walls and stuff like that. I think that's all the tips that I have. If there's any more that I find, I'll leave them in the description. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a cozy winter. Bye.